Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you've previously visited my channel, you know that I've lost 50 pounds using varying windows of time-restricted eating, as well as the 5-2 method. And your mind may be abuzz with questions like, do you have to do those longer fasts in order to lose larger amounts of weight? Why would you want to do those longer fasts if you can get results with shorter fasts? And what are the advantages of doing one versus the other? In this video, I'll break it down, and I have answers to those exact questions. So let's get started. Before I get started, please be sure to hit that like and subscribe button, as well as that notification bell. Also, please be sure to comment down below with topics that you would like to hear more about. I am always happy to hear about the topics that you would like covered in future videos. Okay, let's start with breaking down the differences between time-restricted eating and extended fasting, as well as what you have going on underneath the surface at each hourly stage in the process. An extended fast is generally classified as fasting for longer than 24 hours. In practicing the 5-2 method, I do extended fasting twice a week. This differs from the varying windows of time-restricted eating with intermittent fasting, in which you focus more on consuming food within a specific window of time. So, what can you expect as you progress hourly? 4 to 8 hours after your last meal, your blood sugar and insulin levels drop back down to baseline. And the time variability depends on what your food consumption was comprised of. If, say, you had a higher carb load, getting those insulin levels back down will be closer to that 8-hour mark, which is something to consider if you're eager to get into fat burning mode, or if you want to stimulate autophagy sooner. At 12 hours, growth hormone starts to increase. It is one of the counter-regulatory hormones, and it helps with sugar and fat metabolism. Growth hormone is typically seen at its highest while asleep, when we usually have lower insulin levels, which is why intermittent fasting is helpful in boosting those levels. And growth hormone helps with bone formation as well as building that lean muscle mass. At 16 hours, we're running low on glucose stores, and that's when the body does its metabolic switch, turning into fat stores. Something to consider is that the liver can store 20 to 24 hours worth of glucose as a fuel source for the body. So being conscientious and not replenishing those glycogen stores with carb-heavy options is something to consider if you primarily want to do time-restricted eating, otherwise known as TRE, or shorter fasts in general. That way, you get into the fat-burning phase sooner. So, when we switch into fat-burning mode, we naturally produce ketones as part of the fat metabolism. Ketones can do amazing things for the body. They help with the health of our mitochondria, the powerhouse cell of the body, as well as provide us with stamina, energy, mental clarity, and they decrease inflammation. Not to mention that they also help with maintaining muscle mass, and the benefits keep coming the longer we fast. Autophagy starts at around 18 to 20 hours. Autophagy is what Dr. Owasumi, a Nobel Prize recipient for his research, refers to as the intercellular recycling. It is the recycling of damaged cells. It takes amino acids from the cells that it breaks down and uses them to rebuild, leaving behind those that are functioning more optimally. This is the body's rejuvenation process. At the 24-hour mark, we are doing great things for our gut health by resetting our gut microbiome, something that you know I get really excited about. And after we reach that 24-hour mark is when we cross the threshold to the extended fast territory. At 36 hours is when autophagy revs up, increasing by 300%. 36 hours is also when the body turns up the fat burning process. And at 48 hours is when growth hormone ramps up to 500%. This is also when we start to experience benefits to those dopamine receptors in our brain. We create new receptor sites, which help to boost our mood, as well as to help decrease anxiety. At 54 hours is when we typically start to experience significant improvement to insulin sensitivity, which is a huge benefit, with 1 in 3 individuals having prediabetes and 1 in 10 being diabetic within the US. What this tells us is that insulin resistance is a far-reaching problem, affecting a large portion of the population, and it results in metabolic syndrome without intervention. Not to mention, the many are unaware that they even fit into this category. All right, so at 72 hours is when we start to see that autophagy peaks. The 72-hour fast has some additional health benefits. Scientist Walter Longo is credited for his research of benefits associated with the extended fast and the help that we receive with disease and cancer prevention. At 72 hours, we are seeing great things with stem cells and the immune system. And 72 hours is typically when I call it good. There are some additional health benefits with going up to 120 hours. But if you're targeting specific benefits, 72 hours is oftentimes when we start to see them peak and drop off. All right, so my why. Why do I pick and choose amongst the varying windows of TRE and extended fasts that we have available? So many reasons. Because I want to eat carbs. I want to steer clear of restrictive tendencies. And I want to do away with diet brain because I want to target insulin resistance as well as autophagy. I want disease prevention and to cultivate the microbiome. And I also want to stay in the fat burning phase longer. Yes, I have a very linear, focused desire to reap the full benefits of intermittent fasting, all of them, which is why I see the varying windows of fasting and extended fasts as methodical tools. But you may be wondering about these longer periods of time-restricted eating, because you may have heard me voice complaints and compare OMAD to waiting for Christmas in a previous video. A 23-1 fasting week. It is Wednesday, and this week could not end any sooner, you guys. I am so over week 23-1. Waiting all day, having that build up, all for a meager 1 hour. And then boom, having to wait another 23 to 24 hours to eat. Is it worth it? Or even doable week after week? Well, honestly, doing these 36 to 42 hour fasts have made OMAD an absolute cinch. I can cruise all day and not even think about food. And then my body will send out the typical cues. I'll feel my stomach grumble, usually around dinner time. It is all about building that fasting muscle. And you'll hear me say that time and time again. Fasting gets so much easier the more fast that you have in the bag. Studies also show that ghrelin, the hormone that stirs up our hunger, decreases over time with these longer fasts. And I don't have to worry about my metabolic rate decreasing as a result of doing those longer fasts. And that's because of those counter-regulatory hormones that you likely have heard me talk about and that kick in while we fast, like noradrenaline, cortisol, the sympathetic nervous system. They work to energize us and to help with stamina, not to mention that they keep our metabolic rate humming. Another reason that I do those extended fasts and is at the top of my list is to mitigate the amount of loose skin that is left behind with larger amounts of weight loss. And I am aiming to lose a goal of 80 pounds. So this is high on my radar. When we undergo the body rejuvenation process through autophagy, our body breaks down and uses parts of our cells that our body no longer needs. It uses those amino acids to build up cells that our body does need. And the thought is that the body breaks down old skin cells and recycles them for other purposes, which reduces how much sagging skin is left behind. And continuing to use intermittent fasting alongside good nutrition after the weight loss may help with the quantity of loose skin that we do wind up with. Another big reason that I prefer the longer fast is that it helps to keep us in the fat burning phase longer. When we do shorter fasts, we work our way up to the fat burning mode. Then we eat and the clock restarts in the process. So with extended fasts, we reach prime fat burning at 36 hours and continue in the fat burning mode for hours longer, depending of course on the length of your fast, which is helpful when you have a lot of fat stores that you need to get through, like I have, with a starting weight of 234. And extended fasts also help with planning ahead for social events or in keeping with personal weight loss goals. For example, Christmas is barely behind us. And do I feel like I was completely derailed by having a piece of caramel apple pie with Christmas dinner? Absolutely not. I did a 42-hour fast leading into Christmas. Then I had a healthy fast breaker. I did my normal pre-gaming, and then I closed my window when I said I was going to. And I felt completely satisfied and completely on track with my goals. I also felt ready to keep right on going. There was absolutely no internal struggle to avoid foods that I look forward to all year long. And I had zero regret or guilt. This feeling post the holiday season is 100% new to me. And for those of you that were able to keep with your weight loss goals, making intermittent fasting fit into your lifestyle throughout that holiday season, I would love to hear about it in the comments down below. And did my weight balloon up? Let's just say that I'm steering clear of spoilers in this video, you guys, because I have plans to do a full weight status update after the new year and post the Christmas party season. I still have a few family Christmas gatherings to attend. Okay, so I've chatted about numerous reasons why I do extended fasting, but let's not forget about those shorter fasts, aka time-restricted eating. I routinely do varying amounts of time-restricted eating throughout the week, and that runs anywhere between 16:8 and 23:1. Oh, mad. With complete flexibility. You may be wondering, isn't doing 5-2 enough? Why bother with time-restricted eating the rest of the week? Because at the foundation, I want to focus on getting those insulin levels down between meals. I want my body to operate as it was intended to, without the snacking. Doing TRE also helps to reset ghrelin. Ghrelin naturally peaks at times in which we habitually eat. So if we're eating 3 times a day, we have peaks associated with those times. But if we're snacking throughout the day, you can see where this could result in elevated levels of hunger throughout the day. I also want to focus on stabilizing those blood sugars, and really working on these areas results in tools that make fasting easier. We end up with properly working hunger hormones, insulin sensitivity, blood sugar stabilization, and that all helps to reduce cravings. It also helps to make us more metabolically flexible. It turns us into intermittent fasting machines. Okay, we're not machines, but I am truly in awe of the body's potential and harnessing that potential to do away with disease like diabetes, hypertension, metabolic syndrome, as well as disease prevention. And TRE alone brings on so many of the benefits of intermittent fasting. Depending on how long you're fasting, you're getting autophagy, fat burning, resetting hunger hormones, you're getting help with insulin resistance, you also experience a reduction in inflammation, and have increased energy and focus. And with doing simply 16:8, I could feel those satiety signals start to ramp up. I started pushing away the plate because yes, I was too full. And that was just in the first couple of weeks that I was fasting. Yes, in those 2 weeks, I was only doing 16:8. And yes, the scale started to move for the first time in years. So to be completely clear, do you need extended fasts if you're seeing the weight loss and the benefits that you want? No, you don't. Can doing extended fasts give you additional benefits? Yes, it can, but it is not necessary in order to start making those positive, healthy life changes and reaping the benefits of intermittent fasting. However, a side note, adding extended fasting once a week or even once a month can help with weight loss if you're starting to see your weight loss stall or slow down. But if you're still getting the weight loss and you're seeing the benefits that you want with TRE, keep doing what you're doing. It's about making intermittent fasting work for you. I hope this video was helpful in answering your questions about the benefits associated with the varying windows of TRE and extended fasts, as well as answering why it is that I utilize both to harness the full benefits. Please be sure to like and subscribe, as well as to hit that notification bell if you found this information helpful. Also, please comment down below with topics that you would like to hear more about, or with questions that you may have, so that I can cover them in a future video. I'll see you in the next one.